Welcome back to another show. This week on the Classics in Conversation, we're talking about American Werewolf in London, one of Georgie's favourite films
ever.
Yeah, we're very excited for this one. It's going to be a good one. As always, we have a special guest, and our special guest today is Andy Conduit Turner. This is your second appearance on the show. We talked a few months back about Resident Evil.
We did, before it was about tall vampire women, but you know, that's a change I'm willing to get on board with. I don't know where Capcom got my diaries from.
Or my dreams.
Your internet search history, Capcom got a hold of that and
definitely.
we're like, oh, okay.
I knew I should have got a VPN.
This podcast is sponsored by NordVPN. No, it's not.
This podcast is sponsored by Tall Vampire Ladies. We love them.
Agreed. Approved.
We approve of this message. I'm excited to play that game. I played the demo and I did a bit of jumping and a bit of yelping, and it looks amazing.
I forgot you've got a PS5. You're part of the 1%.
I am. I could I'll send you guys little screenshots of it and be like, look, this bit's spooky. But it was good. There was no combat, but I was still frightened.
Us regular humans get a demo for everything else pretty soon though, right?
Yes.
A couple of weeks we all get one?
Yeah.
Trickle down gaming economy, that.
It's you peasants can have the scraps.
Yeah.
A joke.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be good fun. So tell us a little bit about you. What do you do in the world when you're not playing Resident Evil and thinking of tall vampire ladies?
Well, I mean, that's 80% of the time covered, right? But the other 20% of the time, you'll find me working in a couple of different mediums, usually in, the realms of spooky stuff. I work on some comics. I write in prose. I do a lot of stuff with your guests from last week, the guys from Hawk and Cleaver. So I've done a number of short stories for their audio podcast. So the other stories, I directed their horror anthology ongoing story for Halloween last year that we got Emily Booth to voice for us. That was amazing.
So good.
She was
really
incredible,
good.
Wasn't she? She was so good. And then I crash podcasts, as the guys pointed out last week as well. So yeah, I'm increasingly on theirs. Let's be honest, I drive their shenanigans and sidetracks up by about 8,000%. I've not done them. I've done the maths. It's exactly that amount.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think you definitely
me.
bring an extra level of shenanigan to wherever you go.
Yeah, it's the energy I try to bring to any just a general chaotic weapon of mass distraction kind of energy.
That's perfect.
Absolutely.
You should put that on a business card if you haven't already got one.
Yeah. Hi, Andy Conduit Turner, WMD.
WMD, I like that.
Everyone will be like, gosh, he's just such a bad boy. I'm so fooled.
Yeah. Like I say, I'll start appearing in shades soon.
Yeah, it's going to be for the best. So today's classic that we're talking about is the 1981 film American Werewolf in London. So first of all, what are you guys' opinion on the movie?
You go for it, Georgie. I can see the anticipation in your face.
I'm it's one of, I know everyone's sick of hearing me say this, but it's one of my favourite ever films. I love it. And for me, it's just a perfect film because I love horror, I love stupid comedy, and it combines the both of them perfectly. I think the cultural impact that it's had is phenomenal, really, when it comes to both horror and to comedy and to music videos, but we'll come on to that later. And I just think it's fantastic. The soundtrack is iconic. Not enough horror films have sad endings, so I'm glad this one does. Yeah. Some of the best makeup, and I think, I know we've spoken about this in a previous podcast, one of the best, if not the best, werewolf transformation sequence in cinema. David Kessler.
We will get on to that. a little bit more later.
Heck yeah. And David Kessler's a babe. It's been 30 years and he still hasn't called me, but he's dead, so I guess that's probably why.
I mean, that's a tough act to follow.
Well,
Andy, I assume you have exactly the same opinions.
Except David did call me. No, he didn't. No. Oddly enough, I discovered American Werewolf in London late, very specifically after American Werewolf in Paris, because of my advanced years. I was right in the target audience to see American Werewolf in Paris at the cinema when it came out. So I would have been, I've not checked the year, probably
97 it was.
Ooh, now I'm going to have to do maths to work out how old I would have been. I would have been like 13, 14.
Yeah.
So exactly, I think for that type of movie, prime age.
Georgie, how old were you?
I don't want to talk about how old I was in 1997. I would not have been able to go to the cinema because I couldn't talk. So what's that?
Yeah, don't let me like literally turn into that man at the end of the Last Crusade, like wither away. But yeah, so there was me at the cinema, seen American Werewolf in Paris. And
what is the rating for
bad?
Yeah, not good.
The actual certification rating.
I'm not sure if it's 15 or a 12A.
It was done by Disney, so I think I want to say it's like a 12A. I don't know actually off the top of my head.
Likely a 15. 12A came in with Spider-Man.
Oh, I don't.
There you go. Probably a 15 then. Was I 15? We'll have to look up whether I snuck in or not. Or probably, just hung out in the cinema foyer going, these GCSEs I'm getting ready for.
Bad boy since he was like a teen. It's all coming out. The police will be knocking at the door.
Shh. Put your VPNs on. I can't let them track this. So I saw that one first, and the internet was less of a thing then as well, right? So I wasn't sure I was even fully aware that there was something that came before it until someone had mentioned it. So I saw it a little while afterwards, rented it out from our local Blockbuster, and first watched it there. And then, in all honesty, it's been a hot couple of years since I last saw it. I watched it last night, getting ready to come and talk to you guys about it today, and I think I gained a whole new level of appreciation for it.
Nice.
It's a great time, and I can't disagree with a lot of things that Georgie has said about it, particularly the impact of the effects, the makeup and stuff that they do, the transformation scene. If you look at Rick Baker, who did the who was one of the supervising folks that did the effects, look at his long list of like werewolf related credentials that came after this as well. I see his name against Harry and the Hendersons as well. So, this is a guy of some pedigree.
Yeah.
How about you, Heather?
Pedigree dog.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you know how I feel about werewolves. Like, they give me the spookies more than any other horror creature. So I probably didn't watch it until I was like embarrassingly well into my 20s, probably, because I was just like, I'm just going to ignore all the werewolf movies of all time.
Except Van Helsing, 2000.
Except Van Helsing, obviously, yes.
I know your guys' opinions on Van Helsing.
Everybody knows the truth behind our opinions.
Is there a greater tragedy in modern society about what a bad deal that movie got?
Jennifer's Body.
Queen of the Damned. I mean, we could go on. Yeah. All my favourite films.
War crimes you're listing here.
Literally, like, if you look at my list of, like, top 10, the first two, you could be like, yes, okay, yeah, great. And then it's like, Queen of the Damned, yeah. Van Helsing.
Don't worry. You're in good company. You're on a call with someone who unironically loves both Chopping Mall and Sleepaway Camp. Yet will never make time to watch The Godfather because don't care.
I mean, there's no fun in The Godfather. Like, it's so unfun. So, no judgment here.
In the Jennifer's Body podcast I did with Luke and Ben, I said Megan Fox could do The Godfather, but the Italian guy, Al Pacino, Marlon Brando, whatever his name is, Robert Da Vinci, he couldn't do Jennifer's Body, okay?
Exactly. And also, they can't be that much badasses because they do go to church to become someone's godfather, so they aren't that naughty, are they?
No, they're not. Otherwise, they burn at threshold, wouldn't they? So
Wouldn't be allowed in church. You'd
well,
be
no,
banned.
you'd be banned.
They'd have your picture up behind that big lectern at the front. Do
Do not
serve
baptize this man.
Yeah.
Do not serve communion wine to this man.
Yeah. Wouldn't be allowed. Can't be that bad.
Exactly.
I'm glad we established that. I feel like that's an important bit of like film Twitter that we've fixed.
Yes.
There you go. Never let it be said that I have anything to do with tangents on podcasts.
You're in good company in that case.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a tangent-y boy. I can already tell. Like we've already had 2. So
I'm going to do my best for my best behaviour. I'm going to drink quietly while you tell us how much you love American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, there's some bits where I'm like, but like, it's a classic. It's aged well in terms of its effects, thanks to its like practicalness. I love the sound design and the score and all that sort of thing. I like that you get to see the wolves in the zoo, but like I like that they were like there, actual wolves, and I like the sort of like authenticity in that side of its realness. Like when they filmed in Piccadilly Circus, like they basically bribed the police with like the Blues Brothers to actually be there, and I think that's like one of the lost arts of cinema now. Like you'd just stick someone in a costume in a green screen and you'd have the same, I don't say the same effect, but you'd have the same result. So yeah, I like that. I like it more as a classic than any like particular scenes that stick out for me. But apart from the dream in a dream, I like that.
Yeah,
big fan of that.
Well, we'll have to touch on the dream in a dream because that is some bonkers shit. That is
Oh yeah, we will. It is on the list.
Oh god, we will.
Gonna touch upon. So talking then, Georgie, you mentioned briefly like the cultural impact. So what is it that you guys think like if there's any main aspects of it that you thought like impacted the most? Like what have you seen and you've thought, I've seen that before, or I know where this is coming from?
I think one of the obvious choices, I mean, you've got all of the horror comedy, you've got stuff like Gremlins and Beetlejuice. The obvious one, though, is there's this musician, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, he's called Michael Jackson. And it's Thriller. I mean, he got John Landis and Rick Baker to come on board to make a Thriller music video because he saw this film and was like, that's awesome. That's a pretty cool thing to be like, oh, yeah, just my cool film about a werewolf got me to do the Thriller video, which is the most lauded music video of all time, you know? That's pretty cool. And there's a lot in there. I mean, obviously you can see the parallels because it's the same people, but there's certain bits where you look at it and you're like, oh, I know what that is. I remember that bit, that reminds me of this. And I think that for me is not to be that person, but when I watch it, I'm like, it's from my favorite film, American Werewolf in London. Do you know what I mean? I'm that guy. I'm that.
Yeah,
I think you'll find.
Literally. It's like that for me, I think it is twofold. It's the kind of genre of horror comedy, like the whole Shaun of the Dead thing as well, because I know Edgar Wright cites it as like a massive influence for him as well.
Yeah.
But also the practical effects and like Rick Baker's like, I don't want to say lineage because they're not his children and we're not in Game of Thrones. Legacy. Okay. Like with the people that he influenced. We were talking about The Thing last week.
Yes.
And you know, his Robert Boutin studied under him and there's so much. I love it. So I'm gonna let Andy get a word in edgeways. I'm sorry. Taking all the stuff.
It's good to see it. Like I don't have the exact history here, but I can't recall another example before American Werewolf in London where we truly got the transformation that wasn't just, if you look at your old Hammer Wolfman films, you effectively would get, and not to cast shade at those, they did some incredible stuff with very little, but it was lighting cues and a guy would literally be roughly man-shaped still, but be a hairy man. Yeah. But with all the work that Rick Baker and his team did on American Werewolf in London, beyond that is where you see a more ambitious werewolf transformation. I'm not sure you could do. And when we see the new Wolfman that Lee Winnell and all those guys are working on now,
that's gonna scare the absolute shit out of me. That whole.
I guess they may look for like a more human shaped Wolfman, but I think now it's so much expected that you're going to see that transformation, and particularly the shape of the legs. That's what really gets me when you see the feet elongating and the knees change and the lengthening of the snout that comes there.
Yeah.
I think that really drove that expectation, and I think regardless of the individual things it influenced in the future, I think just the scaling, that inspiration that it brings to everyone just to up their game and do better.
Yeah.
And I think, you'll see more modern films that don't hold up as well and don't age as well. Georgie, I know you'll get on board with this as well. Let's call for another effects thing. Look at the way dinosaurs were done after Jurassic Park.
Ding, ding, ding.
Like, you get films that are newer than Jurassic Park that don't look as good inside their dinosaur effects, in the same way that you get things that are incredibly distant from American Werewolf in London, which don't meet up to that bar that they set there. Arguably even its own sequel, right, where we have shiny CGI, but
100%,
But I think this is why it holds up so well. That's its cultural impact, and I think that's why we're seeing a generation of filmmakers now that saw this with with great reverence and great inspiration when they started their careers. These are things that, like us, they probably weren't born or were children when they came out. And they're looking back at these, and this is what's bringing practical effects back into the mainstream.
I definitely think, like, for me, practical effects are like unrivaled. Like, I think that's why, like, I really like Del Toro films, and a lot of his stuff is still so practical, and they look incredible. And not only because, like, he's got that crazy mind, but also, the physicality's there. Like, they look like you could be like petting them. Not necessarily petting them.
Well, look at
like, get away. But like, they don't just look like it's like Andy Serkis in a suit. Like, like, he's great.
You'll have to double
like,
check,
don't get me wrong, but
look under Hellboy, and I think you'll find Rick Baker's name on there as well.
I also was thinking as well when you were saying is it The Howling that came out before this?
Yeah.
Which was what are we calling him? Rob Boutin.
Rob Boutin.
Rob Boutin.
That's the inside joke for the last episode.
That was last week's.
Rob
yes.
Boutin.
Rob Boutin.
Rob Bottin, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. He did the effects on that film. And there's a few of like rumors that went round that he was like visiting with Rick Baker and what is it called, Clive Barker, and I was like, it's completely wrong. And saw what he was creating, because obviously American Werewolf took so long to get made, and used a lot of that inspiration for The Howling, which then came out before. And I think you're right, like that transformation scene is a pivotal like point for, I'm going to say, werewolf cinema. For werewolf cinema going forward.
Werewolf cinematic universe,
yeah. So on that point, I'm gonna pick a question that I was actually going to use later, but I'm going to use it now. If this isn't your favorite werewolf transformation scene, what is, and why?
I literally will. Andy, go first.
I'm on the spot now.
I'm going to really struggle to find something that beats this in terms of effects and what is notable. And you've just mentioned it. A scene that always springs to mind with me is that one from the end of The Howling, where the newscaster turns into a wolf live on the TV. And I don't think it's as well executed. I don't think it has the same length of transformation. But for like a monstrous, almost incredibly savage werewolf character, and for the speed it happens, and for the way that transformation pretty much ends that movie. Like, if you asked me to yes, let's be entirely honest, I think it's the only scene I could immediately recall from The Howling off the top of my head. So that one really, really sticks out for me as well. But it's so hard to top this. The only one that springs to mind is the one we already spoke about as well, when we really go back into Hammer horror and you look at the ones that are done with lighting cues, which are impressive for their time, and that iconic look. But I can't think of anything that tops it myself. Georgie, have you had time to come up with anything?
I've got a list of 5. Some are less immediately iconic, but I will stand by them and I will tell you why. So obviously this is my favourite, obviously. Ginger Snaps I think is fantastic, because I think the way that they do it in Ginger Snaps, like with the tail and everything, it's so gross. And I think that it has that kind of practicality, like you were saying about it as well, which means it stands up. And the thing I love about the whole Ginger Snap sequence is that it's really gradual. So, you see her hair and you see her teeth, and then because she's got the fake teeth in, she can't talk throughout the rest of the film. No one can understand what she's actually saying. And I think that one's fantastic. I mean, I love that film anyway. So I think Ginger Snaps, I like that it's kind of like a gradual transformation. I think that's really interesting. Now it gets less cool. Van Helsing, I'm sorry, it's great. I just love how he kind of climbs up the wall backwards, Exorcist-like. It's really unnerving to me, that, because I know that what you don't like about werewolves, Heather, is the kind of the body horror element of it and the really awkward physicality. And I think that aspect does it really well. And I like that he's like a luscious L'Oreal werewolf.
He's so fluffy.
He is, right? It's beautiful. And then the other two are Twilight and Harry Potter, but that's fine. So
Andy looks so disgusted.
Andy's just like, why have I agreed to this?
I've never ever seen a Twilight movie. I'm culturally aware of them. Like, it's just something I've never sat down and watched. I did do a cultural exchange with one of my team at work a few years ago, where I sat down and watched the Harry Potter movies I hadn't seen, and she watched Jurassic Park, just the one, just the first one, just the one. I said, I'll really go into this one.
Like trade-off coming from you. I was expecting you to be like, and I made her watch Sleepaway Camp.
No, I'm not that insensitive, but
so you're familiar with the third Harry Potter film?
Yes, I'd seen that one before. I think we saw that one at the cinema, but I'd not seen the last few, and I've still not seen any of the Fantastic Beasts. Where are they?
Who are
they? They're gone. So obviously on record, fuck J.K. Rowling. There we go. I just want to put that out there. Yep. However, the way that I'm going to rein in my Remus Lupin love right now, the way that you mentioned before, Andy, that transformation sequence with the elongating of the legs and the becoming really gangly and limby, I think that's done really, really well in the film. And he's not like the sexy L'Oreal werewolf, furry art werewolf. Can't believe I said that out loud. He's not buff and attractive. He looks monstrous. I think that's really interesting. And like you said, limby with the elongating of the legs. That's a really good sequence, I think. And Twilight is just boss, because they just jump in the air and then they're big wolf. So
I think what's interesting about that is that there's like 2 different kinds. So you get in kind of like a wolf man and a werewolf.
Yeah.
I think like the way we're describing it, like some of these are coming out as like big wolves with like 6-packs if it's Van Helsing, and like all nice and glossy. And then some of them are actual like monsters.
Yeah. I think it's like the biped quadruped thing as well.
Yeah.
So if you think about like Van Helsing, he's like an Adonis but furry.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got Remus Lupin, who's this weird, like fetal naked mole rat.
He looks like a chihuahua has been stretched.
He does.
He does. If you were going to pick a dog for him, it'd be a chihuahua.
It's like an unwell wolf. Whereas I imagine, and I haven't seen Van Helsing for a number of years, I can almost imagine him still in a pair of cut-off jean shorts as after he's transformed, like Hulk trousers.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Although, if we're talking werewolves, I realise I've made a gross error and not mentioned one of my favourite ones. You guys know the Monster Squad, right? I mean, that's, for me, that is great showcase of all of the Hammer monsters, but the werewolf in that, who, as we learn, has nards, is great. Is great. Such a good werewolf.
That's it. They're such compelling characters, werewolves. And I think that's what you said, Heather. I think with the different ways that they're represented is really interesting, because zombies, you've got fast zombie, slow zombie, but it's all kind of quite similar in the notion of how
you've got you got like a rabid, or you've got a shamble.
Yeah.
Depending on like almost like who your early influence is.
Yeah. Literally, depending on who you watch first, isn't it, really? Whereas I think in werewolves, there's such a variety of how they're represented. I think it's really, really interesting.
I think even like vampires don't have that much of like a divide. I think you have like the fancy boys, and then less so you get like proper animal vampires. Like the only ones I can think of that are like super animally are like the Strain, maybe is like the first one that came to mind.
Nosferatus and stuff, and like the Salem's Lot vampires as well.
Oh yeah,
you've got your big toothy 30 Days of Night boys.
Yeah, I was thinking 30 Days of Night, but I was like, I can't remember how
such a good film
toothy they are. Yeah.
Then you've got like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt in Alucard.
That's what I mean, like an underworld where they're all fancy boys.
Yeah.
Another werewolf movie, kind of. I can't remember anything about that transformation though. I feel like that's probably not very impressive.
No.
All I can remember is the hybrid
the shiny CGI one.
Yes. Yeah. The only one I can remember is like the hybrid, because he was himself very shiny. Yeah. He was like like a scaly one.
Doesn't he become like, apparently if you take, he gets both, doesn't he? So he gets vampire and werewolf disease, which turns him into muscly Nightcrawler.
Yeah, kind of lizardy, but like, yeah, not a fan. No. We've strayed off the path, so
it's not my fault.
No, it's
it was. It was.
It was
Georgie's, about wolves. But... It's fine. It was my fault. I was talking about Harry Potter and Twilight.
I think this is like the second time that this has happened in this series.
It is, yeah.
That you were talking about them, so it's a recurring theme. Okay, well, if we move on then to the sound design. So we touched on it briefly. But I think is like one of the really like standout scenes is when they're on the moors. Like that's getting solidified right there early on that this is like a horror film. And those howls and like the noise of the attack and the screams from the two main characters are like horrifying. I was watching it and I was like, ooh, skip this bit. It's a bit much for a Thursday night.
Until the neighbours calling in. Yeah, you're right. The sound design in that section in particular is, and I think, as you mentioned, the dialogue, particularly as the attack is going through, you wouldn't be surprised if maybe it wasn't even scripted. And they just said, right, ad lib being panicked. Maybe they did just turn a dog loose on the actor at the time. It was a different time. Obviously, you could get actors eaten while you were making a film.
Yeah, maybe that's
collateral damage.
Yeah. People they sign those contracts. They belong to you, John Landis. So yeah, like it's such a panicked moment, and then when the attack happens and he runs away from his friend, and you can just hear him, screaming, oh, bloody hell, shit, fuck, whatever. Like he's got me.
I think he shouted like isn't he like it's killing me or something?
Like, it's got me. He's got and it's and he runs back from him, but obviously it's too late. But there's such a good range of emotion in that section where you go from there's still time for levity in that bit, like when he screams and he falls down, he's just tripped, and then you get that mild bit of relief, and then it comes into the attack, and you go from the dread to the relief to then that intense panic, and then the townspeople turn up. It's an incredibly tight and well designed visually and soundscape. Like what a section that's probably no more than 2-3 minutes long.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I think really like it's really like, as you say, like disorientating, because you've got that moment where you think, oh no, it's okay, he was just falling down like a little pothole or whatever, And then you get all these noises that are like, you can't like discern what they are from one another. Like it isn't just like a wolf howl that everybody kind of knows what it sounds like. Or, the sound of like someone getting chomped, which you kind of like, I think you get used to hearing the sounds if you watch a lot of horror films of someone being killed. Like there's not that many ways it can be shown. It kind of all sounds the same. But I think with this one, what's really interesting is how they mixed so many weird sounds together.
Yeah.
So like the attack I was reading is actually a recording of like a pig farm, which I just feel like makes it worse.
Pigs are scary.
Pigs are scary.
Pigs are scarier than werewolves. Toe to toe, rather go for a werewolf than a pig. Pigs scare me. Except baby pigs, they're cute.
Pigs have no fatal allergy to silver.
Right. No. What do you do?
There's no pig kryptonite. Like there's just
no protection from the pigs.
This hasn't been discovered. Now, what about werepigs? Would that be worse?
Yes.
That's probably on my 2021 bingo card. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yes.
Werepigs, rabid hogs.
Yes. Exactly.
That'd be the sequel. Werepigs 2, the rabid hogs.
The rabid hogs.
I feel like we should make a biker gang now, and that can be our name.
Andy's obviously the leader.
Start the jackets.
Obviously.
Such a badass.
Yeah. Could have a little sidecar for the dogs.
Yeah.
You see?
Amazing.
Wear the little jackets.
Oh, stop.
It's absolutely happening. But yeah, so as well, like the wolf howl, the initial one is actually made up of 9 sounds. And I'm going to see if you guys could guess any of them. So I'm going to give you a small clue. There's 3. Well, there's 2. There's 2 you can guess from that are similar to a wolf that they used for the howl.
Dog.
No. Much bigger, darling.
Hyenas.
Ooh, close,
nice.
But not quite. Less cat-like.
The cat.
In fact, more cat-like.
More cat-like. So it's like a wolf, but a cat is what you're saying.
Yes.
Like a lion or a tiger or a bear. Oh my.
They used a wolf and a lion and a panther and also a train.
Oh.
Yeah. I'd like to sort of get someone to level that for me so I could like see all the individual elements.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Bananas.
I felt like you presented those in like power level as well. It's like wolf, lion, panther, train.
Number 1.
Yeah, if you got like slightly injured by a weretrain and then
tapping it
on the next like time the timetables are due to be reset, you transform into a train and run riot just on the tracks, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the Flying Dutchman was. He was just a literal Dutch man, but then
he got clipped by a train.
Yeah.
And became a weretrain.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, it's happening. That's terrifying.
That's so cool though. That's like, obviously wolf, that's kind of fine. It's a wolf. Animalistic with the other ones, but a train, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You got to have a lot of respect for the people that do these things and can come up with sounds of things that don't exist, that they have to come up with, okay, how can I make a wolf sound but more so?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And you touched on the soundtrack while we're here as well.
We are. I've got a fun fact about the soundtrack. So moving on to the moon songs.
The
songs of the moon. So obviously there was loads in this film in particular. Do you guys have a favourite moon song?
From this film in particular, or any other moon song?
Any.
I like Dance in the Moonlight. It reminds me of being in a barbecue.
Nice.
I like that, yeah. Cool.
It reminds me of just having a nice time with good friends at a barbecue, which, can't do that right now. So,
yeah.
Maybe there's some family there, haven't seen your dad. All right, Dad, got Top Loader on here at the barbecue. How's it going? But yeah, I like about that one.
Yeah, amazing. It's nice and summery. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Georgie?
I mean, from the film, it's obviously Green Clearwater Revival because it's also in Supernatural as well.
Yeah.
So it has a very special place in my heart. And it's just a jam, isn't it? It's just
It
really,
is a jam.
a little
It
bop.
really is a jam.
Overall for Moons, I don't know. Moon River's nice. It's very, very poignant. You better be thinking about songs with moon in them now.
Was Ozzy Osbourne's Bark at the Moon out by the time this film came out? Otherwise, that's a rare miss that they didn't have it in there.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Let's
I don't
have a look.
know.
I'm going to investigate that for you.
Okay, thank you. I have to do some quick moon Googling.
Moogling. 83, so no, 2 years too late.
Oh,
So maybe he made that as a result of loving this
Maybe.
film.
Another cultural impact. Exactly. Songs with moon in title.
I actually don't know what my favorite moon song is.
Man on the Moon by R.E.M.
Man on the Moon by Really Enormous Monkeys. Indeed.
Yeah.
My cousin and I did choreograph a dance routine to the chorus of that when we
my
were
God.
about 6.
Do you still know it?
Probably, actually, I'll be honest. I think that Moon Age Daydream, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to cut out the bit
that
where we all
wins.
forgot about that, so we
that's
keep
fine.
our like cool points, okay?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, that'd be good. So my random moon fact is
You sound like me now.
I know I do sound like you. That Cat Stevens said no to them using moon shadow because he believes in the existence of werewolves and didn't want anything to do with this film.
He's got a cat in his name as well, so that he'd be weak against them.
I was about
if they
to
ever
say.
He
came.
would be. He's trying to protect himself.
Yeah, that's smart. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Smart.
I think
And he wrote that
knows
song
something.
about how much he loves his dog to try and placate the werewolves.
I reckon so.
I think we're onto something here.
It's like a policy of appeasement, but with wolves and werewolves and dogs.
Yep.
We're on to you.
Cat.
Cat.
If that is your real name, which it isn't anymore.
Oh. Yeah. Maybe he changed it out of fear. Now they're not going to know he was a cat.
Is it? I
One
think
more
this
day.
series should be like renamed "Discovering Lots of Conspiracy Theories About Popular Horror Films" because
I think
that's what we do.
Yeah. I think that's
It's a
like
truth cast right here.
it's
Too
happening.
right.
Oh
Get
yeah.
your tinfoil hats, everybody. We're back.
We would look lovely in a little range of tinfoil hats.
I
It would
think
definitely.
so.
Yeah. We can do that for the next season. Covering the truth.
Classic conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
In conversation.
In conversation, yeah. But only about like horror, like films, particularly horror. Because we get to be loads. Everyone's always like dying because they were on The Omen. And all
Of
sorts
course they are dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just been
I don't know,
inducted
I was,
into the
like,
Illuminati.
They did die,
Yeah.
but it was because of The Omen. Yeah.
Those damn pharaohs and their curses. Getting them on.
I know. And I'm always like, oh, such nonsense. But whenever they're like, oh, they found a new one and they're going to open it, I'm like, oh, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that in this year of our Lord.
When you look at them as well, there's always the first couple that are like quite near, and it's like, this man died in a car accident 40 years later after he opened the sarcophagus.
It's like, oh God, oh no.
Yeah.
The curse. Yeah, it's awful.
There's one thing the pharaohs have got, it's time.
It's a waiting game. That's what it is.
Yeah. They were like, we're going to plan the most perfect revenge. You'll all be hit by cars.
It's being
Maybe
hit by an SUV.
at some
Yeah.
point in the future. Potentially. And the pharaoh writing it down is like, what is a car?
Yeah. You're going to be hit by a Ford Escort, right? Okay, don't know what that means.
The last
but-
3 letters on its reg plate was like TUT, and it's like Illuminati, which is a pyramid.
Oh my God. That's it. It's happening. We're going to have to definitely get like VPNs the next time we record because it's too real.
I'll get in touch with ExpressVPN and Nord and see if they want to sponsor us.
Yeah. Keeping your conspiracies safe from the Illuminati for 20 years. I'm really worried about how many triangles I have in my like background.
Yeah, I'm looking at my wall thing and I'm
my
like,
goodness.
There's so
I've got
many.
the moon there.
Yeah. I was like, triangles.
Oh, I love it.
Anyway, moving swiftly on before anybody comes to tell us off.
Before the FBI SWAT
Before
team
the
descends.
the Illuminati FBI arrives. So when we were talking about earlier on about the transformation being somewhat of like a sort of genre definer, something I thought that was really interesting was when he kills someone, he kind of like the souls of those people stay with him.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really like, that's an interesting vibe. And I don't think that like that's really been explored in other sort of like in the werewolf genre.
I've got one example. It's not from film. Bear with me while I look up who wrote it and I can quote
like
it exactly.
Oh, this is exciting.
See,
Because I was like, oh, I like this concept.
See, if we were sponsored, this would be a really good place for a sponsor break from Surfshark. Keep your internet history.
Zencaster, we're recording through Zencaster Master. I was thinking that earlier on, I must admit, like whether we should just approach someone and be like, we will make you our sponsor and just record our own. Because they do that if you go through Anchor. You just like record one of their snippets and put it in the middle.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, he looks ready. He's ready?
I'm ready.
Ready?
I'm ready. Have we finished the sponsored segment? What could be sponsored segment if you sponsor now? Sponsors. It is a comic series. It's a short series. I think it's got 9 issues in it. It's by the art and writing and publishing are all by a guy named Todd McCulloch, and it is called Who Needs the Moon? And you should all read it immediately because it is fantastic.
That sounds exactly like the kind of thing I wanted. So,
and it has it's got a great parallel with the movie here because it's a guy who is unfortunately a werewolf. But unlike our character in the film, he has been a werewolf for an extended period of time. So he has literally a legion of lost souls who, over the course of the time that he's been a werewolf, have just got more and more angry with him. So there's like a whole horde of ghosts that are basically constantly telling him to kill himself. It's
really good.
It's great. Such a great comic series. It's one of those that I discovered it, read the first issue, and then I sat there for the afternoon and like blitzed the entire thing. It's great.
Yeah. There's Todd McCulloch Who Needs
Todd
the Moon?
McCulloch. Yeah. I believe I'm not sure it's on sale, but I think each issue is like 79p on Comixology right now. It's
amazing.
A steal.
Yeah. I'll have to
check that out for sure. That sounds amazing.
It's a really interesting concept, I think. I mean, not just one of my favourite scenes in the whole film is the bit when he's in the adult movie theatre with Jack and they're watching that film and he's just there like with decaying body and he's like, you should probably just end it, mate. Like I love that sequence. I think it's so well done. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting concept and it isn't something apart from this by the sounds of it, which sounds fantastic, that's been heavily kind of explored.
Yeah, we don't see it an awful lot, and he's a great comedy moment as well in the way that he delivers those lines more in the sort of straight comedy that you see pulled into other horror comedies today. As you mentioned, when they're in the porno theater scene, that also has the other side of maybe this John Landis humor that links into the Blues Brothers, which is your more absurdist comedy. The fact that the film, it comes up in the credits of the film, the porn film has its own name. It's called See You Next Wednesday.
It's in all of his films, I think, isn't it?
The narrative beats that exist in that film, the fact that it's like, I've told you never to do this again. I didn't promise you any such thing. It's so, it's such a departure from the horror, but I don't know how it just works. It's so well placed into the comedy of the movie.
They filmed their little fake porno movie, like the first, I think, and then pretty much everything else was like in sequence.
That's cool.
Super
interesting. Cool. I was like, did that bit have to be shot first?
Yeah.
Guess they could just do that in their like hotel room before they went out onto set, though.
Don't mind the cameras, love.
Did they also film what was that entire advert for the News of the World, like the fake News of the World advert?
Yes. Yeah.
Forgot about that. So moving on from one favourite scene in a porno theatre to the dream in a dream sequence we had touched upon a little bit earlier. That also does what we were saying the beginning does in the Moors, where you kind of have like a little bit of like, oh, it's okay, it was a dream. And then you're like, oh shit, it still is a dream. Like, I've been completely bamboozled by this.
It's emotional whiplash, isn't it? You think, exactly like you said, it's the peaks and the troughs of the emotion. And it's so, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it just throws you for a loop, doesn't it? You think, exactly like you said, you say, oh, it's fine, cool. And then, oh, wait, no, this is terrifying. Again, it's happening. Yeah. Oh, yeah, fantastic.
I think the speed with which that bit happens, and it's almost like, I'll jump forward a decade here, it has the same effect as if you watch an Event Horizon, you know, when they access the logs of the ship, and then you have that incredibly dense, like 20-second like flashes of scene, which is just 20 seconds of absolute horribleness. Like, it's the same in that sense, and especially, I guess, as it's building from the other nightmares that almost do feel like you've seen enough of the movie to understand what it's going to be about, even if it's the first time you've watched it. You see his early nightmares, and he's having nightmares about, almost taking the actions of the wolf in his dream. So he's chasing and attacking a deer in the forest. He sees himself in his hospital bed when he's also like a fit guy running through the forest. And and he has that other dream where he transforms and he opens his eyes in the bed. Like, they're all things that kind of link into what we understand to be happening to him. This transformation is coming. But then it completely takes you, by surprise and unawares when you see him at home with what we should understand to be his family, I guess, and Nazi werewolf mutants break in and stab his family to death and shoot them all with Uzis and things like that. And it's almost over the top in terms of, like, this is reaching like Evil Dead or Trauma levels of gore in these things, right? It's not akin to like the rest of the movie almost. It's the most extreme scene they shoot in it, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
100%,
I think so. I think that, and then maybe like the end where everybody's sort of getting hit by cars and stuff. Yeah. I think there's like at least 4 car crashes or something in this one film.
Well,
do you think if the werewolf caused the accident, do you still become a zombie if a werewolf caused you to get hit by a bus? Or will you be all right?
Werebus.
Werebus. Just everything now. Werebus.
If you're slightly injured by anything.
I have to get the tram home from work on Sunday.
Yeah, tram.
Pray for me. Wear tram. Who knows? It's anyone's guess.
That'd be the ultimate hybrid. That's almost half bus, half train.
Right?
Not like quite as dangerous, but more dangerous.
Powers of both.
Yeah. It's like the train's like, go, little tram, get the city centre, people.
I can only reach the outskirts.
Yeah. I feel like Where Tram is the sequel. Like, inner city turmoil's happening right now.
And I'm in Yorkshire, literally. Who
oh my
knows?
God. Hopefully you won't get attacked by the Were Tram, because they'll have to take you all the way to London for hospital.
Well, fun fact, it was meant to be set in Yorkshire. All of the scenes in Yorkshire were actually filmed in Wales. And they had to put fake trees in front of the Welsh signs so they couldn't see the Welsh writing on them because they couldn't take them down.
Nice.
No way.
That's a tidbit.
I like it.
That's great. And I guess that whole scene, the Yorkshire bit, is the setup. What was the original plan? You said they were going to do the whole thing in there, then they moved to London for the main scene, or was that always the plan, that it was going to mostly be in London?
I think it was always. So I think they wanted the set pieces from each, and they were like, "How can we fuse Yorkshire and London?"
It's a bit of a schlep for a hospital from here to London.
Well, yeah, but I think the fact that it's almost like, I kind of think, like, you look at it and you think this isn't a British film, so it's less like jarring that they make a ridiculous trip to the hospital. Like, it's like me now in, say, for the sake of it, Liverpool, getting injured and getting in an ambulance and getting treated in Sheffield. Like, traveling upwards of like 3 hours. When I could just be like, let's pop round the corner, go to Aintree, we'll be sound.
I was about to say, it's like me going to London. I literally live in Yorkshire, so that is exactly
what
happens.
Exactly what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like if we watch an American film and someone was injured somewhere and they went somewhere completely random, you'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
So I definitely feel like it's less jarring, but then when you think about it, you kind of like, bit weird.
Yeah.
Bit weird, but do you get the better set pieces? Because you couldn't have done like the Piccadilly Circus in Birmingham.
First of all, as a Brummie, I take a shit. No, but like
it's true though.
No, you couldn't have done like American Werewolf in Totley, like round the corner from here. That's not anything, is it? It's got to be London.
I just thought, Georgie, we can team up then with your Brummie roots. We've got the perfect solution. I'm from Tamworth.
Mate.
That's got the woods. You could have got bitten in Tamworth, and then it would have taken you to hospital in Birmingham, second city.
There it is.
Well, we should get on to the reboot or whatever they're writing and tell them.
Yeah, and more canals in Birmingham than in Venice as well. So you could become a werebarge if you get slightly.
Werebarge.
Why are you trying to push people into canals all the time?
Yeah,
I'd be like,
and go to Venice.
There's 16 canals in this town, by the way, guys.
And the footpaths are very narrow.
Yeah, slippery even in that winter. There's mud. Anyone would think it was an accident.
Also, I got 20 quid, by the way, guys. So beers on me later. Yeah. That's it. So yeah, I think it had to be London, didn't it? Because it's again, American Werewolf in Paris is not a good film. But it couldn't have been American Werewolf in Leon. It's got to be like I would watch that. It's got to be like a big name, you know.
Yeah. And
you've
again,
got to choose a city that people in America would know, right? Which outside of London in the UK.
Yeah, and it's got the big set pieces. Like you can so quickly like see where these places are without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
like you could do like American Werewolf in Italy, but it would be in like Pisa or the Vatican.
Imagine that. I would watch that. That'd be
funny. I'd watch that.
But like, I think that you've got those big set pieces, like you said. You know, the Piccadilly Circus bit. I think you mentioned it before. All the coppers and the Met Police were so impressed with Blues Brothers. They were like, "Okay, we'll shut Piccadilly Circus for you for 2 days. Go on then." And they had to stop traffic intermittently. They stopped it 3 times for like 2 minutes per time to film those stunts, Werebus. And that was it. They had like 2 nights. And imagine that, just getting the Met Police to be like, give you Piccadilly Circus.
Yeah, dude, solid.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's a fantastic scene. Like one of those iconic ones. Like you say, you couldn't have done that anywhere else that doesn't have the same like memorable scenery for an action piece like that as well. And it's so chaotic as it goes through it as well. It's one of the greatest scenes in the movie. And it trends nicely against the countryside piece when they immediately stray off the path, not listening to Rick Mail and his friend's advice.
Yeah.
And you need that open space. I was watching it with my wife when we were doing the rewatch yesterday, and when he went out and did his first raid, she was like, no wonder the nurse lady is complaining she hasn't got much money to get by. She's got that size of house really near a park in London, central London.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy, isn't it? She's just like, oh, don't mind my house. And you're like, she's got like a £2 million house, maybe? Casually.
There's more than one room in this house. Obviously, things were better.
Literally. Yeah. We were talking about Bridget Jones at work today, and we were like, how is she meant to be like a pitiable figure? She has this amazing house in London, great job in publishing with Hugh Grant and Colin Firth after her. Like, literally, what is there to complain about? Nothing. So that's it. That was completely unrelated, but about housing markets in London. So I just thought it was, I
loved it.
That's the vibe we're after.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's like doing something on the side. She's got like a side hustle to keep like that flat in check, house or whatever it is.
Yeah. I remember the first time I watched the film, I hated Alex. I hated her because I loved David Kessler, and he should be like, I was like 12, shut up. So, but then the more I watch it, I'm like, you know what, girl? Yeah. Your beautiful house and your good job, you do it.
Like, I know it's a werewolf film, so we're already like suspending disbelief. But I wouldn't invite like a strange man into my house that I'd like.
See, she had the greatest compliment for him as well. To be honest, now this is what I aspire to. If I can have someone, truly meet me, like said to my wife, if this is the level of affection I could get from you, this would be great. If you tell me, like, I'm incredibly attracted for you, and I feel really sorry for you. Like, oh.
It's like a deadly combination.
The two things you could like: someone who's attracted to you yet pities you immensely.
Pities you, yeah, aggressive pity.
Oh, yeah. No, and it's just like the way the doctors are like, oh yes, it was a psycho. So, and she's like, oh well, that's fine. Come on in.
The doctor literally says as well and said, oh no, do say when someone's crazy, they have the strength of 10 men. That's
psycho
how they could
strength.
Tear your friend apart.
Yep.
I love that. I think it's just that whole scene, and it's weird because again, suspending disbelief, she just falls in love with him. She's madly in love with him immediately. And that's kind of, that's going to say that's unbelievable, but that's 100% something that I would do. But I think even so, they've not had a long relationship. I think the end of the film is still really like heart-wrenching and very emotional, and not enough films have sad endings. I say it all the time. I'm so miserable.
Week. Yeah.
But like, give me a sad ending over like a happy everyone, oh, he's healed, it's fine. Like, I think the ending fits really, really well with the film. And it still gets me a bit like, oh, like choked up. I think it's really, really, really emotional, even though I'm not 100% invested in their relationship. Like, I've had milk in my fridge longer than they were together, but that's okay.
Not only sad, but also super, super abrupt. And I think that makes it more effective as well, because there isn't a, this has all come together and I'm going to have a slow moment where I get to say goodbye and really drag this out. It's that you're all wolfy in the corner, you lunge forward and then you get shot and that's it.
Yeah.
It is that like sudden impact, especially because the whole time we've almost been like faked into all the big things happening, and then you're like, oh no, it's fine, and then they do happen, so you're almost waiting for it to be like, oh well, it won't just be abrupt and over, and then it's over and you're like, oh,
and that's it, as the end.
It was just over.
Yeah.
I like a sad ending.
And it's a bold choice to just leave it at that. I think too many films now, they'll have to have and this is how it all ties off, and this is how these characters are affected. Where there are some people, we just never find them.
I love it in the I love that in the credits. It's always in like 90s teen films where it's like, and Brooke got married to so and so. I love that shit.
Yeah,
but like that'd be fine if it was just like, oh, she's got married now, like 10 years later, to someone she actually knows. You'd be like, oh, okay. And the guy
Alex got married to that other patient the only other patient we saw a relationship with, that little kid that says no to everything. Like, he grew up and eventually said words other than no. He said yes when they got married.
Yes. So
and then she went to prison for having kidnapped and given everybody Munchausen's and Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
The guys in the pub are still there, like one.
Yeah, they're still having that game of chess. That man has never missed another shot at darts.
No.
Although, if talking to people who could have got themselves in hot water, I mean, Alex could have gotten herself struck off by, having an affair with a patient and then having him move in at the house. Thankfully, she does a lot better than poor David, who, maybe I'm looking at this through a modern lens, but if I wake up naked at the zoo, the first thing I'm not going to do is try and tempt to a child into a bush with a pound.
Yeah, I mean,
every time I see that, I think you're right with the modern lens. Like, as soon as you see that scene, you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing, David?
Literally anyone else.
Literally, it would go better if you ran up and punched someone and stole their clothes. That would get you in less trouble.
Yeah, I'd have more respect for you if you literally, went just up, peed on someone's leg and mugged them. But
like, if you just walked home, people would be less like, what's going on?
And said,
Then
yes, I'm
approaching a
quite
child
mad.
in a bush.
The strength of 10 men, you know.
It will take at least 11 policemen to overpower me because I have the strength of 10.
Oh, literally, right?
Questionable choice every time.
Although he's even that, that was a desperate situation. He'd just woken up from being a werewolf. Who the real bad guys of this whole piece are his parents, who didn't bother coming to see him.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a very valid point.
Weren't even in when he phoned.
No,
That's
they
my
were out
parents. They're busy.
celebrating.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, finally he's gone." Never listens to us. We tell him things for his health, and he just ignores it.
Honestly.
I've told him for years not to step on the grass.
It's the first thing you did.
It's the first thing you did. Oh yeah.
No, but all in all, like this all feeds into. I think you can get away with some of these things that we're making light of because of its comedy elements. You don't need it. You don't need it to tie up all the loose ends. You don't need it to always make the most perfect sense. And as we were saying about the ending, I like that it's abrupt. We don't want to do, what is now famously a J.K. Rowling ending, I guess, where you have to tie off every single loose end. God forbid anyone else ever picked that up.
Yeah.
But
then untie them, then retie them, and then untie them again and tie them as someone else. Yeah.
Actually, it was pretty clear from the text that he was a dinosaur all along. I don't know if you'd
learn to read, maybe. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I think that kind of brings us to the end of all the things we were going to particularly touch upon, unless there's anything you guys would like to revisit or mention before we go on to our comments from our people on the socials.
No, I think we're good for the comments. Have you got anything, Andy?
No, I think we've covered all the major beats.
Okay,
I think so.
We had loads this week, which was exciting.
Yeah.
So let me have a little look.
I had a couple as well on mine.
You got a few.
Yeah.
Anthony from Soda and Telepaths described it as timeless and brazenly horrific.
I love that.
It was nice. Short and to the point, but I like it. Dixon8653 from Instagram said that they love it. No reason. They just do.
I respect that.
There's a lot of like punchy sentences. I like it.
Reasons of your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben from X Geeks says 1 minute you are experiencing the terrifying scenes on the moor, the next someone's comedically asking for toast. Love that. Yeah.
Right.
And the iconic transformation scene. Nerds Chatting called it an absolute classic. From the moors to the dreams within dreams and the award-winning transformation, it delivers with every single viewing.
It does.
I think we can agree.
Yeah. I mean, it made the Oscars give it an Oscar for the best makeup. You can't argue with that, can you?
It was like, I like you. I'm going to build you a category.
Yeah.
There you go. Travis Ward said it's a great use of visual effects. Yes, it is.
Confirmed.
And every week we get someone answering on Instagram and they're a bit of a pest. I'm going to have to block them, I think, in the future. But a Georgie Broad said that David is a fitty and a woo.
That's pretty nice. Actually, that's really
insightful.
Yeah. Critical commentary. Honestly.
Yeah, we can't argue with anything. You might not like how she says it, Heather, but Georgie's got a point.
Yeah,
she do. She do have a point.
She's just saying what you're all thinking.
Yeah. And my mum also replied this week to say that it used to terrify her.
Oh, bless her. I love her so much.
Me too, Mum.
I love it.
Me too.
I got a message from Andrew, who said, which was great, said that he watched it for the first time at 2 a.m. at a sleepover with his friends when he was about 12, and it absolutely terrified him.
Nice.
And I did get a few messages of people just sending me the lyrics to Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Nice.
Thanks, guys. But yeah, my mom was the first person who showed me that film. So.
Nice. We're Jackie.
Yeah.
Love it.
Clearly a big cultural impact, and it's affected and been a part of a lot of people's horror movie education.
Yeah. It's nice. What I'm finding from this series is that like a lot of people got a lot of love for these films.
which is really nice.
Probably why they're classics.
God tier stuff.
God tier
Truly.
stuff right here. Yeah, definitely. So we're going to wrap it up. Going to leave it there. And Andy, thank you as always for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
No, thanks for having me, guys. I hope I behaved myself. Didn't take you on too many tangents. How many?
Perfect
There's too
amount.
many.
No, perfect amount. Yeah, we didn't stray too far. It was a good time. So where can we see more of your work and keep up to date with what you've got going on?
Well, you can. Twitter's the best place for seeing what my day-to-day looks like. Sometimes I'll talk about what I'm writing. If I actually want people to like and share what I'm writing, it's usually just a picture of my dog.
Yep.
But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at AndyCTWrites. You can see I do a lot of work, as I mentioned, with the Hawk and Cleaver guys. I think we have a couple of entries in the other stories that I'll be on in a couple of themes coming up in the coming months. Yeah, and obviously we have a huge back catalogue of stuff there. I think I'm on with the guys on Horror Hangout again next week. I think I'm once again during them. We're talking about the new release Psycho Gorman, which should be very cool. Not sure if you've seen the trailer for that yet. Looks great. I'm looking forward to watching that. Yeah. But yeah, you know where to find me. Where people are chatting horror, I usually turn up in the background in some.
We love you for it.
Wherever the horror is, he's there.
He is.
Your number one spooky boy.
Yes, we'll put all of your links.
That's it. That's how I'm going to refer to you in all the write-up. Our number one spooky boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you're right. We'll put all the links in the boxes so everybody can find their way super quick. And yeah, see you next week where we have... What is next week? I think it's The Exorcist.
The Exorcist is next month, so I was looking at my calendar and I was like, oh, it stops there. The Exorcist.
So next week is The Exorcist, which will be good because I haven't watched that in absolutely forever. So I'm looking forward to that rewatch.
It's going to be good.
Should be a good time. And be good, be safe.
Don't go out on a full moon.
Don't go out on a full moon.
Stay on the path.
Yesterday.
Stay on the path. Stay on the path.
I wish we'd recorded yesterday because it was a full moon, so it could have got real spooky, but we did not, so it's a shame.
I was busy being a wolf, Soz.
If you look out the window when you're listening to this and there is a full moon, we planned it this way.
Yes, we did. And you'll get some powers. Yeah.
Enjoy.
Enjoy your wolfy powers.
On us.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.